Marcy Bullock with another activity to help you make a career decision, which is called Wandering Map and Lifeline. What we're trying to do in this webinar is uncover this golden thread that has been following our life. We've talked about nudges. Basically, throughout your life, there is this magnetic force pulling you in a certain direction. It's almost like it's nudging you forward. And when we pay attention to the nudges, it helps us to make a career choice that we're going to be very fulfilled in. So first of all, grab that piece of paper and write, my people, write. I want you to be as creative as you can. So you can get a piece of poster board and colorful markers. You can use crayons, whatever works for you. And I want you to think about interesting and significant things you've done. It's going to be your whole life on this paper. Just jot these things down. Now, there's a couple of different ways that we might go with sharing this activity. One is called a wandering map, which I'm going to talk about first, and then I'm going to show you an example of that. And then second is the lifeline. So it just depends on which of these approaches you connect with the most. So you're now just jotting down shapes, designs, anything that's interesting or significant that has happened to you or that you have done in your entire life. Think boldly here, like an autobiography that you're writing. And if you're still confused and you're wondering, what does she mean by this? Anything, if an object was important to you or significant in your life, like a certain food or a skateboard or clothes or computer, honestly, pick any one of these words and just write down the ones that resonate. Maybe there were certain places that were important to you, certain family members or pets, and maybe there were events in your life, special days, jobs that you've held, awards that you've won, maybe cultural philosophies or quotes. This is the time to put everything on these 4 bullet points down on paper. So I'm going to ask you to pause and I'm going to show you an example of what to do next. But first, get this all down on paper. Now, I want you to, if you've done it already or you're still in process, remember not to spend time erasing things and to remember that this is an activity where there is no wrong answer. You do not have to make it perfect. Don't worry about spelling. Again, just really keep it to anything that you think of. You don't have to have any answers here. This is a brainstorm activity. So here's one that Bill in my class did. He put his name in the middle of the paper. That's one way to do a wandering map approach to this activity. And then all of these different things that he had on that first draft that you just did, now we're on a second piece of paper. And I'm going to show you 4 parts to the wandering map. Part 1 is just putting your name in the middle and taking everything that you wrote down and putting a circle around it. So take a moment to do that. Once you have that, part 2 is making the connections. So you're going to draw lines to things that are related, and you're going to look for categories, maybe jobs, sports, friends, or classes. So on the part 2 for Bill, you can see now that he said, oh, these few things like working at my dad's law firm, the camp counselor, and the fast food job, which he wrote never again, all have a line next to them, and they're tied to the pattern that connects them, which is leadership. Now we've also got the whitewater rafting and the kayaking and the playing basketball. There are a couple of different words that are tied in there, like sports and money. We've got classes tying together a few different things on this wandering map. And we've got this notion of being creative because he wrote a play and he had a creative writing class that he really loved. So think now about how you can connect and make category headings in part 2. Now in part 3, we're going to dig even deeper and we are going to look into more specifically This is bothering me with this graphic here. More specifically, how we can have a theme or a pattern. So maybe we might see a strength or a weakness, something we really enjoy or don't like. Remember that fast food job that was written there. Sometimes in career decisions, when you are eliminating things, that is half the battle because you start scratching them off the list. Think about qualities that also relate to your personality. That's part 3, which is themes. So now in Bill's part 3, we have moved into things like taking risks, discipline, writing, jobs I dislike. So try to do a part 3, and we also have teamwork on your wandering map. And these are some possible themes. So while you're on that part 3, just think about all the things that are listed here, such as awards. Do you like working alone or with others? As you look at all this on the page, do you notice that, oh, I'm always working with other people? Do you notice that there's a theme with animals or art or drama or fun or family? I see family a lot with my students. What are some of the topics that tie these things together? Honestly, your whole life, we are just dissecting in this wandering map, and we're looking at how it's giving us a nudge or a hint about the next thing that you might do. And that's why I call it a golden thread. What comes really naturally for you? You don't even have to put effort into it. Maybe there are certain themes like you're always playing it safe or taking a risk. There's 2 different sides to that one. And are you learning a lot? Is it music? Is it a certain location? So take a pause and look for your themes now on part 3. Now we're going to look at part 4, which are your skills. So maybe you see some things you're really good at that tie together. Maybe in many cases you're being analytical or artistic. Take a look at each of these bullet points and see if you can connect any of the items on your wandering map and title a skill. Sometimes we're our worst critics, so we tend to be really hard on ourselves and not give ourselves credit for really saying, yeah, that is something I'm good at. I do an activity where I ask people for 30 seconds to name as many skills as they can, and then I just like set my timer and go. And after about 15 seconds, people are stopping and having filler words, and it's really uncomfortable. I did it with a group of career counselors, and we're supposed to be awesome at this. It's hard to identify your skills. So this activity is a great way to do it. So now we have completed our wandering map, and I am going to switch my screen share over to show you an actual example of one from a student in my class. So now I have shared a new screen with you that this puts the wandering map in more of a lifeline. So some people like things linear, some people like the bubble map format that you saw with Bill. But with this one, we've got starting from day 1 and then big things that happened in this person's life. So this is a great example for you. Maybe you had to move. Maybe there were some bad things that happened to you that you are reflecting on. Maybe there are some things that were losses for you. And maybe there were some really proud moments for you. So I love some fun things in here. Fan club for Fifth Harmony. And moving forward, there are ups and downs in life. That's what I want you to think about as you move all the way up to 2020, which will be the next piece of this. And then you take your lifeline and you can take exactly what I just showed you, and now we're putting it in a visual way. So all the things that you saw, joining the cheerleader team, some of the different things, playing the guitar, and you can look at them in a personal lifeline format. Moving on to NC State, starting new jobs, and now working in the Career Development Center. So with that, you should have 2 different approaches to how you can share all the things about yourself in either a bubble wandering map or a lifeline. So take a stab at that.